Trains, once symbols of connection and progress, became the backdrop for a series of horrifying murders that spanned two countries. By the time authorities pieced the puzzle together, the name Angel Mat- the name Ángel Maturino Reséndiz was synonymous with terror. Known as the railway killer, his deadly path left a trail of devastation that spanned hundreds of miles. This is the chilling story of a man who used the railroads to spread death, leaving communities shattered in his wake. The story begins in 1990s as a series of brutal murders began to surface in towns along the railway lines of the United States and Mexico. The victims were often found in their homes, located close to the tracks. These were ordinary people, students, teachers, and retirees, living peaceful lives until they became targets of Ángel Maturino Reséndiz. Reséndiz, an undocumented migrant, exploited the vast railway network to travel across borders undetected. His modus operandi was chillingly consistent. He would hop off a train near a small town, break into a home, and attack its occupants with whatever weapons he could find: rocks, hammers, or even gardening tools. The murders were gruesome, leaving no doubt that the killer intended to inflict maximum pain and fear. In 1997, the murders of Claudia Benton, a brilliant geneticist from Houston, Texas, shocked the nation. She was found brutally bludgeoned and stabbed in her home, her life senselessly cut short. Evidence at the scene: fingerprints, a stolen car, and items linked to Resendiz pointed to a transient killer. But by the time investigators connected the dots, he had vanished, hopping onto another train and into another unsuspecting town. Resendiz became a phantom, his movements unpredictable, and his crimes escalating in brutality. The randomness of his acts left communities on edge. His victims had no connections to him, their only mistake was living near the railway tracks he traveled. The authorities struggled to keep up. Resendiz's ability to slip across the US Mexico border and evade capture frustrated law enforcement on both sides. His knowledge of the railroads gave him an advantage, allowing him to move freely while leaving little trace of his whereabouts. In one particular horrifying case, Resendiz targeted Norman and Karen Cernik, a minister and his wife, in their home in Weimar, Texas. The couple was bludgeoned to death with a sledgehammer. The brutality of the attack shocked even seasoned investigators. Evidence once again pointed to Resendiz, but he was always one step ahead. As the body count grew, fear gripped the towns along the rail lines. Local law enforcement and the FBI launched a massive manhunt, but the killer's nomadic lifestyle made him nearly impossible to track. Even when his name and face became public, Resendiz seemed to vanish into thin air, leaving behind only the blood-soaked scenes of his crimes. The turning point came in 1999 after the murder of 21-year-old Naomi Dominguez in Houston, Texas. Resendiz's fingerprints were found at the scene, and his pattern of using stolen items to fund his next journey became more evident. Authorities intensified their efforts, and the FBI placed him on its 10 most wanted list. Meanwhile, the pressure on Resendez's family grew. His sister, aware of the horrors her brother had committed, played a crucial role in ending his reign of terror. She convinced Resendez to surrender, arranging a meeting with authorities on a bridge between El Paso, Texas, and Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. On July 13, 1999, the railway killer was finally in custody. Resendiz's trial was as chilling as his crimes. He showed little remorse, claiming that he was guided by a delusional belief that his victims were evil and deserved to die. His calm demeanor and horrific details of his murders left the courtroom and the nation horrified. In the year 2000, Angel Maturino Reséndiz was convicted of multiple murders and sentenced to death. While he sat on death row, he reportedly claimed to have committed as many as 23 murders, though authorities officially linked him to 15. On June 27, 2006, Resendiz was executed by lethal injection in Texas. For the families of his victims, it was the end of a nightmare, but the scars he left behind could never fully heal. Ángel Maturino Reséndiz used the railroads to create a path of destruction, exploiting their openness to evade justice. His story is a sobering reminder of how the ordinary can be turned into a tool for terror. Today, the tracks remain, silent witnesses to the horror that once traveled along them, a stark reminder of the fragility of safety in a world where monsters walk among us. The story of Angel Maturino Reséndiz serves as a grim testament to the vulnerabilities in the systems we trust and the devastation one man can cause when left unchecked.